Hi, team.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
I would like to Saif to start with the introduction, then I can.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Saif El-Zubaidi, and I'm a strategic solution architect working mostly with security, machine learning, and GenAI.
And I'm Thanas Politis. I'm also a solution architect for PCG here in Greece.
Awesome.
So some info about PCG. PCG stands for Public Cloud Group. We are an international company. We have started 2021. We have more than 500 at this point employees. And we're essentially a cloud-only company. What does that mean? We have top-level partnership with all three hyperscalers. That includes, of course, Amazon Web Services, Azure, and Google and GCP. Specifically in Greece, we are working very closely with AWS. And after the talk, you can join us on our booth to give you more information. I don't want to take a lot of time for this presentation. So we can proceed with the actual demo.
Yeah, so what we have in store today is a generative AI customer case that we have implemented. Then I'll do a demo, and hopefully you are excited for it because it will be a quote-unquote human clone. Not really a human, but it will act as one, hopefully. And then we'll end with a discussion. So please, this is let's make it an interactive session.
Yes.
Ask your questions. If we're in the middle of presenting,
yes.
just raise your hand, or if we cannot see you, we'll speak out. And we'll try to address your question right away.
So, of course, we all know the impact generative AI and in general machine learning has brought to the whole IT infrastructure and beyond. In PCG, we have essentially worked in three major verticals, which is projects that increase employee productivity, projects that enhance the customer experience, and in general process automation with human in the loop and without that. Today, we can show some of the cases. We have a project that comes from Sweden, and we can show specifically how content creation using generative AI can help, I would say, a segment of business that someone would not even associate with high technology. Potentially, no one would even think that they would be interested in that. But they are interested. It's just that they don't have the tools to be able to be productive with them.
Yeah. So these sets of people, so imagine you are working at a company in the inner city, but your providers are possibly farmers, so they have things to do daily, so they attend to their cattle, or maybe they have to work on fields, and as provider, they do need to provide certain materials to promote their products, and having that requested from them would both take from their time at the daily chores that they do, but also it requires a set of, expertise, or maybe not expertise, because everybody now today is a photographer and have, their phone, but not everybody could actually take a product picture or some, setting up the scene and having something that would actually be attractive for viewers to want to have, right?
Of course. Everyone is a content creator in essence. So the example we're going to be showcasing today comes from Sweden. It's a company called Agrovia. And what they have created, essentially, is a platform that gives access to those tools to farmers, to produce makers that won't necessarily be able to source this type of professional services, like going into a video studio, or if they try to do it themselves, two things are going to happen. Either they won't do it, it's going to be on their to-do list forever, but if you run anything closer to a farm or any type of agricultural business, content creation is not on your top priority. And the second thing, if they try to do it, the results might not be, let's say, optimal. at best.
I mean, although Thanas is now saying those as they are like, hypothetical, these are the real reasons why this project was started, because they had requested, farmers didn't have to produce any content for there, but also they didn't want to do it because, well, I'm not sure if they were afraid or if it's, it's just something that they are not used to do it, so they weren't paying that much of attention to it.
And we are personally very happy to use this example because we think it's a very applicable project for here in Greece as well. We have so many local farmers, so many people that will like to be able to make a better presentation of their products. So this is a project that we think very easily could go into the Greek market as well. So what we see here in the screen, we have the UI, very simple UI our team created. And essentially what we say is that give us the minimal information you can provide about your product, and then we'll do the rest. So in this case here, as we see, we pretty much have the produce maker say, I make white wine. Then we're going to see an example about, hey, I run a bed and breakfast. And then we have some other examples as well. And specifically for the wine, all it says, if we go to our first example, is pretty much, I make white wine out of this location.
Exactly.
And that's
it. and as this customer is a bit of an aggregator, so they have multiple farmers into multiple cities or villages, and then into centralized space, they have some information about each individual producer or customer for that customer. And like Thanasis said, they just input, a description, and then voila, they got a list of images that would represent something from their area, but also something that could be seen, for this case, it's white wine, so some scenery that you would get to see when it's a white wine settings or something like that.
So right away, we see the value they get. I mean, very easily, they can generate professional-looking images that they can later use on any platform they want to promote their produce. They will never be able to do that on their own, or they will never be able to potentially to spend that money to get professional services to do exactly that. So using generative AI technologies, they're able to get access to this level of professional output.
Yeah, and we got a couple of categories that we have based on what these producers do produce. And from there we have...
Like, imagine someone say, I sell honey. Like, that's it. That's all I can tell you. Still, even with such minimal input, you can actually get some meaningful output that you can use on your professional, on your promotional material. The bed and breakfast example as beyond, again, a very minimal input, but immediately you get value out of it.
I mean, how many here are interested in photography? Yeah? That's awesome. So I too am interested in photography. I see a couple here and there. But like imagine setting up this scene for that dinner table or whatever you'd call it. How much time and effort would that take? You'd need to have a team. That, I mean, it does look like natural light, but I know by fact that is not how that is produced. That's professional lighting with very sharp, screening and whatever. So I'm really impressed with those results.
I mean, again, another example, because in this case, when we're talking about produce, you don't actually have to sell the actual product. You're selling essentially the idea or the freshness or in general what the farmer or the producer wants to promote. By the way, I have to put a disclaimer here because the next slide, it's a bit overloaded with information, as my colleague said.
Exactly.
So get ready for...
Yeah. But actually, before we go through that, would you like, because that looks like a meal already there.
Yeah, so an interesting idea would be, what if you could actually generate recipes? So a producer essentially could say, you can source my local produce, and by the way, through the app, you can also get recipes. And in this case, there was an example like, make me a recipe that Gordon Ramsay would approve. Maybe not an idiot sandwich, but something closer to that. But in any case, it can go beyond the product itself. It can create other verticals that people can use to advertise and other collaborators to jump into the platform and then sell their own produce in combination with other producers.
Exactly. So imagine you have your meat, and maybe you also produce honey. You would ask it like, use my product and generate a recipe that is based off this chef's style, and then it would write it, use the, promote your products, and maybe, I don't know, but possibly you'd have some partnership with other companies that you would be like, use this specific product to have it in this recipe and so on. So you'd have some sort of product placement inside, a bit hidden, but at the same time it's very clear it is a product placement. And back to the disclaimer here, because so the application here does not only produce images and recipes, it also produces
content. And essentially what it gives you is, as we said before, people on this sector, they will not know, they don't have the knowledge, they don't know what SEO is, they have no knowledge of that. So through the application, we can automatically generate content tailor-made for each channel. We see here, it's in Swedish, but it's very clear, as you see, it's just an article that they can post. And then we can prepare Shopify content that can automatically be uploaded. Pinterest, Facebook, WordPress, all the major, essentially, marketing tools that they can use. So we go beyond content generation, and now we also help them utilize external tools through the content that's created through the application.
Exactly, because that's the idea, right? They are farmers, they don't have really time to put into this. So having these in place, and also these could be integrated and injected into each user's profile instead of them having to do it manually and be afraid of messing up something. And I'm not sure how good that was. I didn't really have time to translate these to English. If we look at the different aspects, of course, I mean, maybe the readability here is a bit difficult to do, but the article, they have a title, they have subtitle, and then the content, and then in Shopify, the last two words there, they have order now, so it adds some sort of semantic. Of course, also the title and the description. These were in English, so that's good. Well, at least for the Shopify one you have at the beginning. So, but if we could look at the socials as well, we also see that the Instagram and Twitter have hashtags, because that is what it's trained to do, right? We don't do hashtagging on, what is that? Well, I think you could do in Pinterest. Do you guys use Pinterest? I don't, so, yeah? Can you do hashtagging in Pinterest? Yeah, I think that should be possible. Yeah, well, somehow it got for it that it shouldn't do that, but yeah. So we see Instagram, but WordPress is for their own blog. That would also be combined maybe with an article, or maybe they want to send the article.
So, as we said, we want to keep this a live discussion. I don't know if there's any immediate questions. I see someone in the back. I don't know if we can have a microphone.
Microphone, please, to the gentleman up there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, great stuff you're showing us here, and saving so much time and resources. Back to your examples, though, the steak, the wine, and the honey. I think that makes a nice and easy application for the farmers and the producers. However, for the bed and breakfast, maybe showing an AI picture of the bed that the customer would be sleeping and not the real one might have some risks associated with that from the marketing side. How are you dealing with that?
That is real, case scenario. So these are as an inspirational to get them to look into their thing, but also they could also upload images of their own to produce similar images with different settings and environment. So, but when choosing a room, it should be the exact room that they choose. It is what is showing the bed, how it looks like. So when you go there, it is, that's correct. You wouldn't want to upsell something that isn't really in place. Thank you for your question. Thank you.
Hi, I wanted to ask, what about brand elements? For example, we saw some wines and honey. If we wanted to create an image of product placement, let's say, with logos
Yes.
on it, is it possible?
Of course, yeah. So fine-tuning would be an option when we want to have an exact image or label of a product. We would take a couple of images, like hundreds or something like that, of that specific what do you call it, label, and then we would train a model, and from there it would produce the expected result. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, please.
I want to ask about the pictures. According to the new EU AI Act, the images that are produced through AI, it has to be signed that it's a product of AI. Maybe with the new regulation, this kind of environment with AI-produced pictures, it will be a problem for a company because, as they said before, maybe a customer make a bad image for the company who has not the real image.
I think in this case, the generated images will then be, I don't know if they have added that yet, but there is always a disclaimer of any of the generated content. And not only because the application does it, because in essence it becomes an end customer responsibility at the end when they upload something. AI regulation is always changing, so the end customer is, the provider here is trying to keep up with that. I don't think if there is any specific disclaimer, but I'm almost certain in the app itself there is a constant disclaimer that says that you need to attribute that this content was generated by AI.
Exactly.
But it's a very good point.
Yeah, I hope that it will be caught for all images.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? So currently, there are usage of images everywhere that are not tagged as AI. I know that, so I do use Photoshop, and the content fill image, it could be that just something here that you wanted to remove, and then when you upload that image to Instagram or something, it will be flagged as AI generated, but it was just that tiny thing that you had removed. So there are companies that are way into moderating everything, but as for these images, it will be a stempel at the end of it, like the images will be generated, but then at the app, we'll add it on top of it.
Shopify, WordPress, and all these, they will essentially stamp it.
Yeah, and then I'm not sure if it will be on each image or if it will be as a disclaimer like the cookie bar or something like that. But yeah, thank you for your question. Do you have a? It looks like you have a. Yeah. Thank you.
Actually, I have a question about the copyrights of the photos because me as a client that have a farm, I give you some photos of my actual product and you regenerate it as a AI photo, let's say. And you keep the copyright of this generated photo, but I have the copyrights of my original photo.
Correct.
So maybe after that, the use of my original photo will have a problem with the copyrighted AI photo that it's similar, because as you said before, it's going to be similar but more with more light or more beautiful, let's say.
Exactly. Yeah, that is an issue with image generated with AI, and because as you put your data publicly, it will be a target for AI crawlers to read and learn from them. So that is something that would need a higher governance, I would say. Thank you so much. I'll jump directly to the next one.
We have the live demo.
Yeah, the time is running out. So the human demo, like human clone demo, right? So this is a bit funny. What it implies is a virtual copy of me, the user of the PC, where I am taking images of my PC, sending it over to an AI model, and from there it will translate this image and try to, with a prompt, of course, telling it, I want to do this and that, and just by, while it works, this is not recorded, this is something that,
the agent essentially does the actions now.
Yeah, so I'm capturing images of my photos, sending it and asking it, okay, what is the next step? And it will say, okay, I'll use the mouse and click here and there, and I've now requested it to do something for me that I myself don't find that much funny to do. What are the tasks that you would feel should be automated in that regard? Do you have anything in mind? Could you guess what I'm trying to do here? Well, hopefully it will work, but it doesn't seem like it is. So the thing is, this is something that is released in beta, so there are some errors that could be done here, and I'm not going to allow it to continue here because it's not following my instructions. So I will kill this thread.
Refine the prompt, and the whole idea, of course, is that this is a multi-agent system. It should be able to, as it reads, be able to do tasks. What we try to do here is essentially log our time, as we have to do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Which is a very admirable thing to automate, and I'll be more than looking forward to it when it's actually ready. But this is just an example. A prompt,
definitely.
System.
So I'll try to do something else. So here is my code that I had. And this is something that also some kind of a surprise for you, possibly, Thanasis, because you'll see why. And
he will try to call me on Teams?
Not calling you. A call on Teams may be one of the, things that I wish that I could skip. But yeah, it will do something with Teams. But here is the thing, this is something that you give it an order, you tell it, do this for me, and it will read the screen, go get some commands, and then I had provided it with tools that it could use. Tools could be a mouse move, click, double click, and then here,
it's gonna...
what is going to happen here? Well, that's interesting. But that's the thing, right? It acts as me. Thanasis, well, hopefully it will say something now, keeping us all waiting. But Thanasis, we didn't know.
Okay.
Well, did I ask it to submit as well? Oh, well, there you have it.
There you have it. And that way I can think the service is interacting with me.
That's my clone, without anybody knowing that I actually do that. And I don't want to give you an idea on anything. This is with a big disclaimer, please don't do it on financial things, because it could ruin life. You saw that at the first test. I asked it to record time for me, and then it was I will not go into the timesheet. I will start the timer. But that wasn't what I requested, so no financial things. This is a big no-no. And also, don't create virtual machines and have this on it, because you could do a lot of things. I still haven't got it to beat a reCAPTCHA, but who knows? That could be a thing. And I got actually the sign that it is now time. So I was hoping that we would go into a discussion about free labor, but I will really shorten it really fast. So you all are familiar with the concept of passive income, you're sitting at home and you're just getting loads and loads of money, but that doesn't work in reality unless you have actually done some job before that, and then afterwards you get the reward, right? And it's similar to this. It could be thought of as a free labor, but you actually need to do the configuration, the training, or anything. And then when you have done it, then you have a product that you could actually use and send Thanasis
to do the work.
To do some work.
Right?
I didn't do a Teams call, so score to that. Yeah, I mean, we'd really love to continue this
Yeah,
conversation.
we're at the booth at the front. As I said, we can give you more information, discuss about your GenAI project, and also provide you information about any funding you can get for AWS services, as this whole demo here and infrastructure runs into AWS. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.